Utopian visions always lead to distress and longing. What is a utopia? A utopia is the concept of an existence free of flaw and free of perceived flaw. A utopia would be an existence where all of our greatest happiness is fulfilled and is sustained without anything coming in the way. And this may sound lovely, but I wouldn't be so sure that the moment you entered a so-called utopia, that you wouldn't perform some action to create a bit of instability. We may think we just want a homogeneous experience of happiness and joy. But if we're attached to this idea, then we're fooling ourselves. The greatest bliss is not dependent on the standards that our utopic visions suggest. So, utopia is actually dystopia. Meaning, the more we grasp to the idea of an existence free of flaw, the less we feel aligned with our own existence. After all, if we want, we can see flaw everywhere. We have the ability to engage in many perspectives that see the world as incomplete. And our visions of utopia may serve actually as a holographic escape route. It is escapism to allow ourselves to entertain and attach to visions of a utopia. But is there such thing as a paradisal state? Of course there is. A paradisal state, not a utopia, a paradisal state can absolutely be experienced when the moment is fully embraced for its simplicity and for its intricacy and for its dynamicism. Spirit is dynamic. Creation is dynamic. And the greatest growth comes from us being challenged by our environment and thus by ourselves. After a beautiful challenge, we're able to let out a sigh of relief. But shall we exist in that sigh of relief forever? There's always a journey. There's always a journey ahead of one. And if we just want to be in utopia, then we are suggesting that challenge is bad or evil or disgusting and doesn't lead to beautiful things. Conflict is great. Having to contend with your environment is great. Because through observing incompleteness, we're able to extract inspiration to go in the direction of the complete. The greatest service you can give to the world, to the universe, and to the cosmos is your own self-realization. Most humans would agree that utopia sounds lovely. This is why the human race has an obsession with something better just around the corner. But if something better is always just around the corner, then where's the value in the here and now? So, utopian visions create distress and longing. Let us not pin ourselves down to the woes of the world as if they own us. It's easier to be owned. It's easier to find flaw in everything, because that is, well, what we see most beings performing. Most beings are performing their victim roles. To what end, huh? Being challenged by the world is the greatest gift. And being knocked off of your high horse or your false belief systems, this is all wonderful. But that sort of thing can't happen in utopia. Plus, this concept of a utopia is absolutely sterile. So there's no mystery in utopia. So there's no element that is unforeseen. Just because something in creation is unforeseen does not mean that it's going to harm. I'd like to keep the mystery alive. And a utopia apparently has no mystery. We have many examples in this matrix of cult groups who stay in a mode of bondage because they've been promised, or they've promised themselves, the granting of passage into a utopia. And in these reflections, we most often see quite a dystopic existence lurking underneath this idea of a utopia. Our overlord very well can be an attachment to a vision of perfection. But I choose not to have this kind of overlord. I'm not ruled by anything. I rule myself. But even as I rule myself, I allow the mystery beside the revelation to remain and even to strengthen. We all like a good mystery, don't we? So, as we merge chaos and order, the masculine and feminine, and realize all realization to be quite simple, in essence, we can't help but view these utopic visions as anything but ridiculous. Thank you.
You need to be challenged. We have all needed to be challenged for the prime reason that we've been in an amnesic state to the true divinity within. Therefore, we have been challenged, and much of that challenge has appeared as conflict. But not all challenge is conflict. Just somebody asking you, "What do you mean?" is a challenge. An element that you don't control consciously could be called a challenge. And this is the mystery. If we fence off everything in the realm of order, then we're disregarding the divine feminine. Because the divine feminine is the mystery, is the chaos. And apparently, Utopia, as has been typically visualized, has no room for any chaotic elements. I'll keep the mystery alive. Thank you very much. You can keep your dystopic utopia.